Did you know there are just 4 countries in the world where the minimum drinking age is 21? Mongolia, Indonesia, Palau, and of course, the United States. In most other nations, it's 18. What does that say about our country then? Well, let's take a look. Alcohol abuse has become an epidemic in the U.S. In a study of American youths aged 12 to 20 conducted in 2005 by the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, 28.2% reported drinking alcohol in the past month, 18.8% were binge drinkers, 6% were heavy drinkers. And what does the college population think?
Do you think binge drinking is normal?
Absolutely, yeah.
I would say yes. I say it's a social thing, really.
I think it's normal in the college community. I don't think it's normal for everyday life. I think it's okay when you're in school, but once you have to go and actually make a life for yourself, it's considered alcoholism.
In college life, underage binging is a common weekly activity, despite the drinking age of 21. So what's the point of it? Well, between the 1960s and 1970s, some states still had a minimum legal drinking age, or MLDA, below 21 years old. As more Americans drove more cars, the amount of fatal road accidents increased dramatically. Mothers Against Drunk Driving, or MADD, advocated the MLDA of 21 years old in hopes to save young lives. The U.S. legislation heard their cries. As an incentive to encourage the states to increase the MLDA, Congress threatened to decrease the amount of annual highway funding by 10%, which states couldn't afford. MADD's efforts paid off, and President Ronald Reagan officially signed into law the National Minimum Drinking Age Act of 1984. It is still in effect today, but is it working?
Absolutely not. I think it encourages people to drink underage, making it something so far off. People kind of just oh, I'll prove myself to be an adult by drinking underage.
Not really, because if someone does get alcohol poisoning, people would be afraid to call the hospital and get them help because they're worried about getting in legal trouble.
Regardless of what people say, teenagers are still going to do what they want.
And college presidents agreed. The president of Middlebury College in 2008, John McArdle, started the Amethyst Initiative. Noting a college culture of excessive alcohol consumption, or binge drinking, and that students were not responding to sobriety-based education programs, McArdle, along with 135 other college presidents, suggested that the nation rethink the drinking age. The Amethyst Initiative, however, does not explicitly promote a lower drinking age, or the current one. It just debates it. But would a lower drinking age really work? Drinking age, the factions. Lowering the drinking age. Certainly, teen drinking is troubling, but the worst binge drinkers and drunk drivers have been found to be in the 21 to 25-year-old demographic. The National Survey of Drug Use and Health reported that 45.7% of 21 to 25-year-olds had binge drank in the past 30 days, versus only 36.1% of 18 to 20-year-olds. Additionally, 27.9% 21 to 25-year-olds reported driving under the influence in the past year, as opposed to 19.8% of 18 to 20-year-olds. Advocates of lowering the drinking age believe in teaching the youth to drink responsibly and in moderation, holding them liable for their actions. After all, no matter what the MLDA is, anybody, regardless of their age, can suffer the consequences of drinking irresponsibly. Additionally, the current laws that prohibit teens from drinking in public locations, such as bars and restaurants, force underage drinkers to drink out of sight of parents and in unsupervised locations, such as frats and house parties, creating a dangerous environment for inexperienced drinkers who are particularly vulnerable to binge drinking and alcohol poisoning. Also, in alcohol-related accidents, underage drinkers do not search for appropriate aid because they are afraid of the legal consequences of their acts. Underage drinkers effectively avoid punishment, which only shows that the legislation could use some rewriting. Lowering the drinking age will decrease the forbidden fruit aspect of alcohol, a privilege reserved for adults. Were the drinking age lowered, teens would not revere alcohol as much as they do now. Without this status, alcohol would not be sought after or abused. But is this really a good idea?
I've seen a lot of bad things. Just people self-destructive stuff, run into things.
I always find myself on videos, but it's, I don't know. I mean, I've seen some other people act inappropriately, cause damages.
passing out, getting themselves markered up, standard things like that.
Keeping the drinking age 21. States like Massachusetts, Michigan, and Maine, who had previously lowered the drinking age to 18, experienced an increase in alcohol-related crashes among the 18 to 20 age group. When these states raised the MLDA back to 21, the percentage of fatal traffic accidents for those between 18 to 20-year-olds decreased by 13% and saved approximately 21,887 lives from 1975 to 2002. MLDA laws set at 21 have been effective, as evidenced by the decrease in the percentage of underage drinkers since 1984. Another argument on the side of the 21 MLDA is that teens are also undergoing physical changes, peer pressure, and new situations. These, along with alcohol consumption, make them more vulnerable to drug abuse, unprotected sex, depression, violence, and other social ills. To remind people about the current national MLDA, the government launched the We Don't Serve Teens campaign. The earlier a person begins to drink alcohol, the greater the chances are of that person becoming an alcoholic later in life, thus suffering negative physical withdrawal symptoms and harming his/her brain during its development. In the Surgeon General's Call to Action on Underage Drinking in 2007, Acting General Dr. Kenneth Moritsugu appealed to Americans to help stop America's 11 million current underage drinkers from using alcohol and to keep other young people from starting. Dr. Moritsugu laid out recommendations for government and school officials, parents, other adults, and most importantly, the young people. Lowering the drinking age would allow parents greater oversight in teens' introduction to alcohol. Through interacting with their teenagers, parents and educators, to an extent, can help lower binge drinking rates and reduce the allure of alcohol to teens. Conveying responsible drinking habits early on will help eliminate issues with older age groups over time. However, before any of this can happen, the drinking age must be lowered from 21 to 18 in order to initiate and facilitate a necessary societal change. On the other side, however, a lower drinking age for America's youths presents several dangers. First, there would be more alcohol-related fatalities, since American youth drive earlier and more frequently than young people in other countries. In addition, the human brain continues to develop throughout the teenage years. Thus, a lower drinking age could have a negative impact on the mental development of America's youth. Alcohol also inhibits decision-making. Therefore, an immature teenager might find him or herself in an unpleasant situation, followed by life-changing consequences. Finally, the earlier teens start drinking, the faster they can become substance abusers, and not just of alcohol. And there you have it, the history of a controversy, the U.S. minimum drinking age.